Welcome to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Today we're talking about Henry Ruggs, the first wide receiver going off the board in the 2020 NFL Draft, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a Alabama rookie wide receiver, one of the fastest guys in the league, often compared to Tyreek Hill, but we're here to tell you, is he worth that pick in your rookie drafts? Is he worth that pick in your redraft leagues? Should be a lot of fun. He's one of those players that is highly contested. CeeDee Lamb was easy. CeeDee Lamb's a good, even-keeled wide receiver, good at everything. Henry Ruggs, maybe not so much. I'm going to start in college. And at age 19, he only had 12 receptions. Once he got to his age 21 season, he had 40 receptions, 746 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, he is a speedster. There were 6 games in his college career where he had 6 games with 1 target, 1 reception, 1 touchdown. That's insane. 8 touchdowns of his went over 40 yards. 12 of them went over 20 yards. This guy is a long-distance deep threat. He can outrun anyone. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. And, Mark, are you willing to draft him in your fantasy leagues?
So it's funny you asked that, because when I was looking at these wide receivers and we were doing a mock draft, I think it fell to me at about the 107, and I did draft Ruggs. I've always had my eye on him as a guy I want on my team. So you're talking to a dynasty owner who has a need for wide receiver, and this guy was the one that I was targeting from the get-go. Anytime he's on the field, he's the fastest guy out there. He brings a lot of upside to the table, and I could see why Mayock and Gruden would see someone like him and obviously make comparisons to someone like Tyreek Hill. So I know that speed-wise, we've got Henry Ruggs. He's the fastest guy in the 2020 draft, the fastest guy at the combine this year. And I believe, Lando, you said he was a fraction of a mile per hour faster than even Tyreek Hill's fastest speed in the last couple of years in the NFL, which is crazy, right? But also, I mean, it doesn't, I don't think it spells a ton of fantasy output for Henry Ruggs right off the bat. What I see is a player who makes things easier for the guys around him, like, for example, Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. I think those guys are going to go through the roof when you've got someone like Ruggs to take defenders a long way downfield and just to be that deep shot presence, because those Raiders, they haven't really had that. Derek Carr isn't the type of quarterback who takes deep shots downfield. So am I wrong here? Like, someone, pipe up and tell me. But I personally could see Ruggs having a very Mecole Hardman-esque first season, where he gets the 2 or 3 huge chunk plays every other game, but then also has that big upside as a return man. And so I think there is some upside, but there's also a lot of question marks for what their quarterback is willing to do in Las Vegas this year. Scotty, where do you stand on the matter?
Where I stand on the matter is that Henry Ruggs is loaded with talent and is in just a terrible landing spot. I don't doubt that Ruggs is the fastest wide receiver in this incredibly prolific draft class, but the reality is he has landed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Derek Carr was 14th in the league with 513 attempts last season, and like you said, he's not a big deep ball thrower. I don't disagree with you that Mecole Hardman is probably a decent comparison for what fantasy owners could be looking for this season. But I also think you might even have to temper your expectations that way, because the Kansas City offense is a machine. It's humming. It's terrific. And The Las Vegas Raiders are probably the opposite of that. I do not trust the John Gruden offense. It is not 1999, and I'm sorry to have to say that, but I just have very little faith in this actual system. Now, when you ask, what is the value with Henry Ruggs? I think it could be through the roof. What it comes down to is if his landing position scares fantasy owners away in dynasty leagues to the point where you can get him at a decent or value place in the draft, I'd be willing to bite. If this is redraft league, I think you're probably in for a long boomer bust season where he's going to show flashes of the talent that one day will make him a very prominent wide receiver in this league. But for this upcoming year, I think it's going to be a lot of disappointment. So I would say dynasty, he's someone to watch because his landing spot puts him in that territory where he may drop down the ranks behind a lot of wide receivers who found better landing spots, but the talent is clearly there. And when he gets either in a better system or the Raiders actually figure out how to use him, he could be great, but it won't be this year. So if you're looking for a value pick, he may be the one out of the bunch that you can get with a lower draft pick in this draft. But if you think he's going to turn it around in the first year and become, your savior for this upcoming fantasy season, you've got another thing coming. Lando, am I off base?
You're really not, Scotty. I agree. He has one of the highest ceilings in this league. And I love people compare him to Tyreek Hill, but that's just not fair. He doesn't really have that quick twitch from what I saw when I watched him play. He's got huge strides. He's super fast, obviously, but that's just not fair of a comparison. This could be one of those things where Derek Carr might not be long for the Raiders. This year is going to be tough for him. He's second worst in the league in terms of aggressiveness. Like you said, Scotty, he doesn't push the ball downfield. His intended air yards were really low. Where the best in the league was around over 10 yards and Derek Carr was around 6. So it just doesn't make sense to have that deep threat, but I think they're building towards the future. They are building a young team with Josh Jacobs. They have Darren Waller and now Henry Ruggs and even Bryan Edwards, who they drafted as well, who I think is a really good complement to maybe take over that Tyrell Williams role in a couple years. Either way, they're a candidate to get a quarterback of the future soon, and this could be one of the dumbest things to do to pass on a guy like Ruggs, to only happen in a year, have them have a great quarterback of the future. So it's Mark, Scott, I both really liked your analysis. Hardman, I think, is a great example. We've seen John Ross not succeed, but it'll be interesting to see how high up he goes in the draft and whether or not he's going to be a value, an absolute steal when it comes to your rookie drafts as well. So, but I think that's everything we have on Henry Ruggs. Do you guys have any finishing thoughts?
One last thing that I'll add is when you are looking at college production, you are definitely going to see lower numbers out of Ruggs than some of the other guys who went far after him in the draft, like Jefferson and Judy and even Lamb. But don't let those numbers fool you, because it's a new league now, new career for every one of these guys.
Yeah, technically he never broke out as a wide receiver in college. When you break out in college, you want that 20% target share. He never got that. Yes, he was playing with a ton of good wide receivers in Alabama, but he just didn't get that target share. But anyways, it'll be fun to see, fun to keep an eye on a guy like this. And if you're still around, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all of our socials. We're snap_fantasy. Here trying to give you the best analysis we can on these rookie wide receivers for you to make your best decisions you can in your dynasty drafts, in your rookie drafts, in your redraft leagues. But definitely Henry Ruggs has people a little bit torn here. So follow us, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.